Hello and welcome to a brand new Football Manager experiment on my channel. It's what you guys at the Football Manager community voted for. It's what if a billionaire invested in Iceland. This time we're taking the Billionaire experiment to Iceland and we put £1 billion into every single Icelandic Premier League side. Of course, a little bit of a side quest on this is to try and see if Iceland can get as high in the world rankings as possible. So right now we're 21st as we start this experiment, so we'll keep an eye on that especially and see how they do in World Cups and things like that. But we've put £1 billion into Iceland, and of course we want to see how far Icelandic teams can go in Europe and things like that. So let's find our way to the first division. If we click on FH, Icelandic Premier Division, there we go, that's how we get onto it. The Icelandic Premier Division, currently the 43rd most reputable league in Europe, just behind Sky Bet League 1, but below things like the Moldovan National League, Russian First Division, and just ahead of things like the Finnish Premiership Division. So this is the kind of level that we're looking at football-wise. Not the highest, but as you can see, very similar to League 1. So if you're a fan of a League 1 club, you'll know exactly what kind of level this kind of football's at. Now, before we get into any of these teams and pronouncing the names of these teams, you thought I was bad in the Welsh one or the Irish one. This is just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not going to try and pronounce these names. Basically, we're going to call them the names on here, and even some of these are a little bit hard to say. Like FH is easy, you know, IBVA, which isn't even an I, if I'm being honest with you. It's not an I, is it? It's got an accent at the top, so it could be anything. KA, KR, they're easy to pronounce. That's probably what we're going to call them. Vikinger O, Vikinger R, that's, you know, seems fairly simple enough. I've probably said them wrong though, saying that. So let me know in the comments how you even pronounce some of these team names, because I'm going to be struggling on this. Past winners in recent years include FH, Stajan, KR and Brioa Blick. Is that how you pronounce it? That's sort of a D in the accent, so Breda Blick, but it's not a D obviously, it's got the accent in it, so we'll call them Breda Blick for now, but they've won the league back in 2010. If we go back onto Breda Blick, actually, we'll show you what we have done. We go to Edit Club Details in the in-game editor, go to Finances, and we've given them all £1 billion and the maximum of 5 million in wage budget as well. So that's pretty cool, that's what we've done. Obviously the very interesting thing is here, do these teams invest in youth or do they invest in players from abroad and things like that? So that's kind of where the split comes from. Now, I kind of want them to invest in youth because that will really help the Icelandic national team get into World Cups and things like that. Hopefully by the end of the experiment we'll see them get into the later stage of the World Cups perhaps and things like that. Of course, we'd love to see how these teams do in the Champions League and things like that. If we look at the rules of the Icelandic Premier Division right now, continental qualification at the moment is that the top team qualifies for the first qualifying phase, whereas teams 2nd to 4th qualify for the Euro Cup second qualifying round, depending on the winner of the Icelandic Cup who gets a place. So it could be 2nd to 3rd, depending on where the winner of the Icelandic Cup in the league is. Now, the Icelandic season is all within one calendar year, so it's a bit different. So it's a bit like Ireland, where it's played in one calendar year, or the MLS, where it's played in one calendar year. So our season is split in two. There's two different things. There's a League Cup that takes place almost as like a pre-season from February through to April, and then from June through to September, that is when the Premier League takes part. So that's going to be interesting. There's also an Icelandic First Division, ranked 80th in Europe. However, we've not put any money into this division yet. We may do it in the future if things aren't progressing quite as quickly as we like and we think we can do something better with these teams as well. So we may put it in a few years' time, but right now this is absolutely untouched. And with all that's being said, we're going to go 3 years into the future in this episode through to the end of the 2020 season, and we're going to see exactly what has happened across Iceland and where they've come from. So let's go into the future and find out. Right, we're back now 3 years in the future, and the first thing to notice is that Iceland have dropped dramatically in the world rankings. Really, clearly not doing very well. They were 21st, now 82nd. If we look at history, world rankings, it's just gone downhill, really. It has gone downhill, but down to 99th at the worst. So internationally, it's not been great for them. I guess they didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup like they did in real life. This is Football Manager, so we start further back in the future. So we didn't qualify, unfortunately, which is a shame, but hopefully next time round they'll do something a bit better. If we look at the Icelandic Premier Division then, similar sort of story. It's dropped to 59th in the European competition rankings there. So it's gone downhill, which is weird because that is the first time we've seen the competition go down. First of all, usually they shoot right up once we give them £1 billion and things like that. So clearly something not quite working out here. Clearly no one wants to move to Iceland. I guess that's probably one of the issues. I guess, for example, a lot of the players didn't mind moving to Wales because they're still not really moving, because a lot of them moved from the Premier Division, so they're still staying within the UK and things like that, whereas Iceland is a long way out of the way for anyone to go. So no wonder no one's particularly bothered about moving to Iceland right now. But we'll have a look in a minute. We'll have a look at the league table and see exactly what's happened over the past couple seasons. So the first of the 4 seasons that we've done, we went 3 years in the future, but we've played 4 seasons. So first of all, Citoyens win the league, a name that I've probably pronounced very wrong there. They won that on 46 points ahead of IBV, and Valor came third there, so they're the ones that pick up European places. We'll look at the Icelandic Cup in a minute. Already what strikes to me is FH finishing down in 9th. I know they were the team to sort of beat, but they've not done very well, so clearly not done much with their money, which is a bit unfortunate for them. The 2018 season, Breidablik win the league on 42 points. Win it on goal difference from FH, who bounced back up this season, but the goal difference proving too crucial there. Valor, once again, finishing 3rd in the league, getting a European place there. And Viking at R have been randomly chosen over Viking at O after both teams finished on 26 with the same record. So that just sort of, it's a guess because they finished on the exact same record. So they had to decide who's going to go 8th and who's going to go 9th. They couldn't split it. So that's what happened, randomly chosen, which must be obviously very annoying for Viking at O, because Viking at R must be a rival. I presume they've got similar names. I mean, that could be completely wrong there, but that's what I'd assume there. 2019 season then, Citoyens once again win the league on 40 points this time, winning it by a single point from KR, and FH finishing down in 3rd on 38 points. Valor, after finishing 3rd twice in a row, finished down in 8th this season, so not doing particularly well there. And then the season we've just had, Breidablik winning it once again on goal difference by a single goal from Stjarnan, both on 40 points, but 15 and 14 goal difference there. Valor finishing back in 3rd on 39 points, and FH finishing in 4th, getting that final Europa League spot on 37 points, finishing only just above Viking. I guess they scored more goals. They had the same goal difference, but they scored more goals. That's why they've gone ahead. So interesting stuff that I absolutely love how close the league is, which is really, really fantastic. I really think that's something that's quite interesting, and that really brings a very big competitive element to the league. Right, let's look how they're spending their money then. This first season, not a lot of money spent really, basically. This team don't sound very Icelandic. They come from Paraguay, that's why. But other than that, top transfer for £325,000. All these transfers look to be into Icelandic transfers, so nothing too major this first season. 2018 season, £400,000 spent, but again, a lot of it doesn't particularly look to be from foreign teams. There's a few foreign teams dotted in there, of course, but not major ones. It's Stjarnan that are spending all the money basically this time round. But saying that, actually, I think these 4 transfers don't amount to more than the Breidablik spending nearly £1 million actually on those 2 transfers if you add in all the add-on fees and things like that. So interesting there. 2019 season, a dip in spending as well. Again, no one coming in from outside of Iceland. And then 2020, again, it's not looking great for them in terms of transfers and bringing players in. By this time, we usually see a lot of like Premier League teams come in once we've given them £1 billion. So we'll have to check the rules, actually, I think. I don't know what there is rules about foreigners and things like that. The only rules are there must be no more than 3 non-EU players. So essentially they can get anyone from the EU in playing, which is pretty good, actually. That's quite nice rules. But they're clearly not doing much with it because they can't seem to get anyone in, which is interesting, really. That's pretty interesting. If we look at the past winners of the Icelandic Cup as well, just quickly, I can't pronounce these 2 teams, but they won it, followed by IBV in 2019 and then Stjarnan in 2020. So that's what's happened in the Icelandic Cup. But you can also see here that this has dropped down as well, which is interesting. So what this must mean is that European performances have not been particularly good. If we look at the league table again, in this first season, FH won it the season before, I think, so we can look at them first. They're usually in and around the European places. So if we go back to a 2017 season, we'll apply the filters to Champions League and Europa League. Right, let's have a look. They got through the first qualifying round against Europa, but lost at Red Bull Salzburg, only just though in the 3rd qualifying round. Went into the Euro Cup playoffs and lost to PAOK fairly convincingly there. So unfortunately, FH couldn't do much there. Didn't do anything in the 2018 season. They finished too low down. Season afterwards, got through to the 3rd qualifying round of the Europa Cup, but lost 6-0 on aggregate to Fiorentina. Having a decent win against Hajduk Split, actually, to be fair. I'm very impressed with that. In the 2019 season, or 2020 season rather, Stefan Druids were overcome, but they couldn't get past the next team in the 2nd qualifying round. So not actually a very good performance from FH. Usually at this point, we've seen teams like Cardiff University get into the group stage of these kind of competitions. So interesting stuff here. Stjarnan have also been in and around the European places for quite a while. So if we go back to the 2017 season, once again, get these filters off so we can see exactly what's happening for them. Euro Cup in that first season, got through the first round but lost to Midtjylland in the second round, which is unfortunate. 2018 season in the Champions League, losing to Celtic in the second qualifying round, and then losing to Steaua Bucharest in the Euro Cup third qualifying round. So pretty tough draws that actually for them, but they did pretty well, I think, in the grand scheme of things for that. Didn't have anything in 2019 season, and in the 2020 season they get all the way through to the fourth qualifying round. They actually lose to Partizan in the Champions League qualifying round, and then had to play them again in the fourth qualifying round of the Euro Cup and lose to them again, so they couldn't get their revenge despite having a slightly better performance, but did beat HB and HJK in the process, so that's pretty good to see. Well done, Stajan. They seem to have done the best, but no one yet to qualify for the group stages of any European competition. Breidablik also been up there around. Let's have a look at see what they have done. 2017 there weren't anything there, and 2018 they weren't anything either. But 2019 they got into it, and they played in the first qualifying round of the Champions League. Didn't get through it. Lost. Well, actually, no, they did get through it. Sorry, of course they got through it. They won 4-0 in aggregate, but lost to Karabag though in the second qualifying round, which is unfortunate. And then came against a team that they beat in the Champions Cup first qualifying round, in the Euro Cup third qualifying round, but then lost to them despite beating them very convincingly before. So interesting stuff there from Breidablik. Couldn't really do it the second time round, which is unfortunate. And then they weren't anything in the 2020 season either, but I'm sure they've done more than that. I don't know why they're not in any seasons before, because I'm sure that they've finished high enough a few times to get in things. I don't know. Either way, we'll go back to the Icelandic Premier Division. Who else? Valor have also been there a bit as well. Let's have a look at their schedule, see how they have done. In the first season, they lost to Rangers in the Euro Cup first qualifying round, so not particularly good there. Second season, once again, losing in that first qualifying round to Levski this time round, 4-0 on aggregate. Losing again in the first round in 2019 to AEL, and then weren't anything in the 2020 season, which is unfortunate. So not a good performance from Valor, unfortunately. IBV had 2 seasons in Europe. In the first season, they got through the first qualifying round, but lose to RZ 8-0 on aggregate in the second qualifying round. And then they were also in the 2020 season, where they lost in the first qualifying round to Maribor. Very narrow though, 3-2 on aggregate, and a good home leg, but unfortunately were overpowered in the away leg. So that's basically everything that's happened in the league over the past few years, which has been a bit underwhelming. Hopefully we'll do better next time and things like that. What we will do just before we go is look at the under-19 squad. So a lot of regens should be in here now. So if we look at the potential ability of these regens, nothing particularly coming up. So these teams haven't heavily invested in youth yet by the looks of things, because these regens aren't fantastic. We'll look at the other teams in a minute, see if anyone's actually been fast-tracked. But all these are definitely going to be regens because they're 18, 17 years old. This guy is the best in the under-19 squad right now. But we've got attribute masking on for whatever reason. I forgot to turn it off. So we can't exactly see how good they are, unfortunately. I do apologise for that. That is my fault. If we look at the under-20 squad, no one there particularly. Under-21 squad, 136. This guy a regen? He's not a regen, so you don't have to worry about that too much. The chap below him is, though, I think at 19 years old. He's the best regen we've seen so far, but again, I forgot to turn the attribute masking off, or on rather, or off. Well, I can't remember what it is. So unfortunately we can't see that. And if we look at the senior squad, I don't think anyone is going to be there who's too... Oh, actually saying that, there's a few 19-year-olds there. That has surprised me. This guy's come through, 175 potential at 19 years old. Now, he is a regen, definitely a CDM, which is pretty nice to see. This guy, a left back, also looking very good and nice into the future. 170, 175 potential for the both of them, which is pretty cool. So actually, we've surprised ourselves there. There have been 2 good regens that have come through. You can call this guy a good regen as well, but he's not over 150, so I wouldn't worry too much. But these guys look very, very exciting for the future, so we'll keep our tabs on them. Importantly, still playing in Iceland as well, so will they move to a big European side, or will they stay in Iceland? That is the big question. Thank you very much for watching today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. Next time we'll probably go 5 years in the future and see what happens. If things don't improve at all, we'll invest money in the first division as well and see what happens there as well. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I'll see you next time for more Icelandic billionaire action.